It's Wednesday at 11, so you know what that means. It's time for tea and talk.
Oh, what's that?
Bitch, please.
Hello, and welcome to Tea and Talk, the podcast where I get to do two things I'm particularly passionate about. Drink some tea and just talk a lot. On today's episode, I'm going to be talking about the little bit of time I had off as well as the heat wave we've been having here. I'm going to be talking about the cold drinks I've been having this week because heat wave. And finally, I'll be talking about what elements of the pandemic we'll be keeping for the future. Hey, beautiful people, and welcome to episode 8 of Tea and Talk. You may have noticed that I took a little break last week. That was just because things were piling up like you wouldn't believe. Ever since I got my new job, it's kind of got to the point where the only day that I can really dedicate a full amount of time to do the podcast is a Sunday. And it's kind of frustrating that I don't have that so much anymore. But yeah, I keep wanting to do it, and time is just time, isn't it? It's so tricky. But I'm actually recording this Tuesday before Wednesday, but because I've had that break, I feel a lot more fresh and more willing to do that. So I just know that this episode is going to be hilarious. I'm joking. I have absolutely no idea how this episode is going to go. It's probably going to be absolute shite. So I can only apologise. How's everyone doing anyway? The weather recently has just been boiling in the UK. I don't know about everywhere else, but we've actually been going through a mini heat wave here. So temperatures have been high, and it's really lush, actually. It's kind of sad that we're all stuck inside doing work or, nothing because of pandemic. But yeah, it's just really nice. And yeah, I kind of miss being able to do things in the sunshine. It's strange because the weather on Sunday was freezing. I was outside for quite a while and I was just shivering in the cold. So just goes to show how unpredictable British weather is. Am I right, people? Or am I right? Wink, winch, nudge, nudge. I've also spent a lot of time having started my new qualification that I'm very excited to be getting on with. For those of you who don't know, I recently got a new job, which is an apprenticeship. So I'll be studying for a level 4 in digital communications and marketing. And I'm very excited to get into that. After I finished uni, I actually took a little break from academia and learning because I'd been doing it for, how many years? Like 17 years straight, something like that. Since I was 4 until, I was 22. That was terrible maths, dear gosh. 18 years straight. So it's something that, I wanted time to just earn some money, get back into it. And I've had that 6 months now, and it's good. And I'm looking forward to sort of developing my skills and getting back into a proper learning environment, which is exciting. Obviously, because of COVID, it's all from home, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I've also got to see my boyfriend last Sunday, and that was really lovely. Because we haven't seen each other in a few months because pandemic. Ew. But I think now that things are opening up a bit more, I'm looking forward to seeing people that I really care about and getting to socialise with them. Because if you don't know, in the UK, the rule of 6 for outside is back in place, which means that you can hang out with a group of up to 6 people from outside your household outside. And I'm looking forward to that. I should probably just say that this episode's going to be very short, because just me. But let's move on to talking about some drinky booze. God, y'all are going to be so annoyed when you hear about what I'm drinking today. You ready for this? I am drinking squash! She hardcore. I know, right? Let me explain. The reason why I am drinking squash today and not a hot beverage is because, as I mentioned earlier, it's hella warm. It's really warm at the moment, and I'm just not feeling up to having a warm drink in the evening. So I'm going to drink my cold squash. It's not that cold, it's room temperature. But you know what I mean. Because of the heat wave we've been going through, I've actually been having more iced coffees at the moment, which is quite nice, but a bit of a pain to make. The thing with having cold drinks is it's annoying to think about having to get out ice or, like, prepare ice beforehand. I am not normally a person who enjoys ice in drinks unless it's really, really warm. The only time I really think to put ice in drinks is when I'm specifically making a drink that has to be iced, like an iced coffee. So, for example, with my squashes, I don't have ice in them because I find them more pleasant to drink at room temperature. No, she didn't. Yeah, I did. But with an iced coffee, it's literally got the word ice in it, so I'm going to have to put some ice in it. The thing is, it's a pain to refill ice trays and then put them back in the freezer and then wait. So as soon as you've realised, oh, I fancy an iced coffee, or oh, I fancy an insert iced drink here drink, it's too late. You don't, like, you check the ice tray and it's empty, so you can't do anything about it. So you've just got to prepare in advance. Good lord, who thinks like that? I am a spontaneous drink maker. I never plan. So that's the situation at the moment. Our ice tray is a Lego, so that's quite fun. Doesn't mean anything because when I make an iced coffee, I literally just like bash it into like little, turn it into crushed ice basically. But still fun to look at. I think we actually got those ice trays from Legoland, so it's official merch, people. Iced coffee. I do really like iced coffee. I have to have it sweeter than I have normal coffee, because otherwise it just tastes really watery. So, with my flat whites, I will put 1 capful of sugar-free sweetener in it. However, with my iced coffees, I will put in 3 capfuls to give it that sweet edge, because I feel like iced coffees are meant to be a sweet drink. So that's how I prepare them. I am not a fan of iced tea, really. I mean, I kind of am, but it's not something I'd ever think to drink. Like, whereas iced coffee is more in my radar. The thing with iced tea is it's a lot more of a pain to prepare. Basically, what you need to realise, people, is I'm lazy as heck. So I don't want to prepare things or think about things in advance. And the thing with iced teas, or like any kind of thing you're brewing that's not a warm drink, it takes longer because of the cold water, meaning that things and osmosis and blah, blah, blah. I understand science. It's just not as effective. When I made that gin, that Earl Grey gin, that I had to leave that for like 2 hours to brew. So that took a lot of patience for me, and that's not something that comes particularly naturally to someone like myself. So that's why I don't really have iced tea particularly often. The iced tea brand, the ones that you can like buy from the shop, very, very nice. However, they are quite high in sugar, unless it's like specifically says it's sugar free. And because of Slimming World, I haven't really been able to enjoy those as much, which is sad because they are very, very nice. I always associate Lipton iced tea with going on holiday, because they're quite common when I go to France with my family. They have the lemon one over there. Also, when I went to New York that one time, they had the raspberry one over there, and I really like the raspberry one. It's a very nice drink, but I think it's actually more popular outside of the UK. So it's interesting when it's iced tea season in the UK. It's interesting to see it like pop up again in numerous places. I do really like fizzy drinks, but it has to be specific kinds of fizzy drinks. I never used to like fizzy drinks, which is interesting. I think I didn't like the sort of gassy feeling it gave, or the sensation on my tongue, but you grow and you adapt, and now I do. And so some fizzy drinks I enjoy are Fanta. Gotta love Fanta. I'm actually less keen on the orange, interestingly enough. I prefer the other flavours like raspberry or grape Fanta, which is quite nice. I actually do like Coke, and I never used to. Coke was one of my least favourite flavours in the world. It's wild, but I think I was you know, my siblings gave it to me as a child to be like, hey Rose, try this, and I spat it out. I could not stand the Coke. But now I love a Diet Coke on a hot day. I love a Diet Coke on a hot day. It's delicious. It has to be refrigerated. Like, it has to be a cold Diet Coke. A warm Diet Coke doesn't do it for me, but a cool Diet Coke on a hot day, that really hits the spot for me. So yeah, I have really grown to love fizzy drinks a lot more than I used to. And I'm quite happy about that. I know they're not particularly good for you, but I don't have them particularly often. I still choose squash over anything else because A, it's so easy, B, it's so cheap, and C, it's so nice and so locale. Honestly, squash is great. Like, big up squash, man. It's so good. And I actually just like the fact that it sort of has a reputation for being a child's drink. Hell no! I'm 23 and I'ma drink my squash as much as I bloody want. Thank you very much. This kind of turned into a rant about squash. I'm so sorry. And yeah, I know I didn't really talk about hot drinks, piping hot brew, that kind of thing today, but that's because the weather's hot. The weather makes the piping hot tea anyway, so I'm trying to balance it out with some cool shit. Also, my life is boring at the moment, so in terms of gossip, there's really not much going on. Anyway, let's move on to the final segment. Oh, what's that?
Bitch, please.
Okay, so in this final segment, I kind of wanted to talk about different things that have happened in the pandemic that we think will be sticking around for the foreseeable future, even after we're no longer in lockdown and things are considered safe. Things that we'll automatically keep doing because we're just a lot more cautious than we used to be. So I actually put up a thing on my Instagram, one of those Q&A things, to ask people what they thought would be sticking around. And I got a few responses. So my friend Affy, she said that we'd be keeping hand sanitizer on us when we go outside. And I completely get that. I think in terms of hygiene, we'll be a lot more cautious to things. Because with hand sanitizer, because it's so convenient and easy to use, we'll almost want to keep doing it. Even with less serious illnesses like the common cold, it's much better to try and avoid having it if you can. So I think that we'll keep in the habit of always using hand sanitizer as much as possible. As well as that, I also think that we'll continue to clean surfaces and sanitize surfaces as much as possible to make sure that the spread of diseases is as small as possible. We don't want a situation where another type of thing like COVID happens and we don't know how to stop it. So the more cautious we approach hygiene, I think the better. These two kind of go together. My friend Dan and Simon, my brother, who was on the podcast, they both spoke about public transport in terms of Simon actually said he thinks there'll be a general reluctance to go on it, and I can kind of see that. I mean, I think eventually people will go back to using public transport regularly because they'll assess the risk and realise that it's actually not too bad, and for the environmental reasons it's probably better to get back into using public transport. However, as Dan said, it will be interesting to imagine a future where you go on the tube without a mask or hand sanitizer. He said that he'll never do that again, like never go on the tube without it. And I think a lot of people will be the same. I can actually see a situation where on public transport, wearing masks are encouraged. I don't think it'll be compulsory forever, but I think it will be encouraged for a while to sort of keep people feeling safer around other people. So I that's my general take on those. There are other elements to it as